the 10 worst trades in NFL history. The NFL has seen its fair share of blockbuster trades, some of which have changed the fortunes of franchises for the better. However, not every deal turns out to be a success. Throughout league history, some trades have been so one-sided and disastrous that they set teams back for years, even decades. Whether it was trading away a future Hall of Fame quarterback, mortgaging an entire draft for one player, or giving up an elite talent for pennies, these moves left fans and analysts all scratching their heads. Many of these trades were made with short-term success in mind, but ultimately crippled franchises long-term, while the benefiting teams used their newfound assets to build dynasties or land Super Bowl winning players. In some cases, poor front office decisions, ego-driven moves, or desperation led to these monumental mistakes. So, let's break them down. 10. Texans trade DeAndre Hopkins for pennies. The DeAndre Hopkins trade in 2020 stands as one of the worst in NFL history. The Texans sent Hopkins and a fourth-round pick to the Cardinals in exchange for David Johnson, a 2020 second-round pick Ross Blacklock, and a 2021 fourth-round pick. Hopkins, a three-time first-team All-Pro receiver, was still in his prime, making the return package shockingly low, especially since Houston failed to secure a first-round pick. David Johnson was once a top running back, but by 2020, he was past his prime and carried a $13 million cap hit, making him more of a liability than an asset. Meanwhile, Ross Blacklock never developed into a key contributor, further diminishing Houston's return. Without Hopkins, the Texans' offense regressed, and they went from a playoff team in 2019 to 4-12 in 2020. The fallout led to the firing of head coach charge GM Bill O'Brien just 4 games into the season. Now, in contrast, Hopkins thrived in Arizona, recording 115 receptions for 1,407 yards in his first year, helping Kyler Murray develop into a better quarterback. The trade set Houston's franchise back for years, showing how one poor decision can dismantle a team's future while completely benefiting another organization. 9. Dolphins trade for Dante Coe instead of Drew Brees. One of the biggest what-if moments in NFL history came in 2006 when the Miami Dolphins needed a quarterback and had 2 choices: trade for Dante Culpepper or sign Drew Brees in free agency. They chose Culpepper. Do you believe that crap? A decision that would haunt the franchise for years. At the time, Culpepper was coming off a devastating knee injury that had ended his 2005 season. Despite this, Miami sent a second-round pick to the Vikings to acquire him. Culpepper's knee issues persisted, and he played just 4 games for the Dolphins before being benched and later released. Meanwhile, Drew Brees, who was recovering from a shoulder injury, signed with the New Orleans Saints after Miami doctors expressed concerns about his recovery. Brees quickly proved them wrong, leading the Saints to a Super Bowl victory in 2009 and becoming one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. By passing on Brees, the Dolphins remained stuck in quarterback mediocrity for over a decade, cycling through failed starters while Brees rewrote the record books. This decision remains one of the worst in franchise history, as it cost Miami the chance to land a future Hall of Famer and transform their franchise. Number 8, 49ers trade for OJ Simpson. In 1978, the San Francisco 49ers made a costly mistake by trading for OJ Simpson, believing the former NFL MVP could still be a dominant force. The Buffalo Bills received 5 draft picks, including first and second round selections, in 1978 and 1979, while the 49ers acquired a 31-year-old running back with declining production and bad knees. At his peak, Simpson was one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, winning the 1973 MVP and becoming the first player to rush for over 2,000 yards in a season. However, by the time the 49ers traded for him, his best days were behind him. He played just 2 seasons in San Francisco, managing only 1,053 rushing yards total while dealing with knee injuries. The trade turned out to be a major setback for the 49ers, who finished 2-14 in 1978 and missed the chance to use those high draft picks to rebuild. Meanwhile, Buffalo used the assets to improve their roster. This trade was a clear case of a team overpaying for an aging superstar, a mistake that set San Francisco back until the arrival of Bill Walsh and Joe Montana in the early 1980s. 7. Bears trade for Jay Cutler. In 2009, the Chicago Bears made a blockbuster trade for quarterback Jay Cutler, believing he would be their long-term franchise leader. They sent a massive haul to the Denver Broncos, including 2 first-round picks, 2009, 2010, a third-round pick, 2009, and quarterback Kyle Orton in exchange for Cutler and a 2009 fifth-round pick. While Cutler had shown promise as a Pro Bowl quarterback in Denver, this trade turned out to be one of the most lopsided in Bears history. Cutler had a big arm and raw talent, but he struggled with inconsistency, turnovers, and durability. In his 8 seasons with Chicago, he threw for 23,443 yards, 154 touchdowns, and 109 interceptions, never living up to the franchise quarterback expectation. The Bears made the playoffs just once in 2010 during his tenure, losing in the NFC Championship. Meanwhile, the Broncos used the picks to help build a Super Bowl winning roster, and Orton performed well before they transitioned to Peyton Manning. By the time Cutler left Chicago in 2016, the Bears were still searching for a true franchise QB, proving they gave up too much for a player who never delivered elite results. 6th Raiders trade, Jon Gruden to the Buccaneers. In one of the most unusual trades in NFL history, the Oakland Raiders sent head coach Jon Gruden to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2002. The Buccaneers, desperate for a proven leader, gave up a massive haul, including 2 first-round picks, 2002, 2003, 2 second-round picks, 2002, 2004, and $8 million in cash to acquire Gruden. The trade immediately backfired for the Raiders, as Gruden led the Buccaneers to a Super Bowl victory in his first season, ironically defeating his former team 48-21 in Super Bowl 37. His knowledge of Oakland's playbook and tendencies played a key role in Tampa Bay's dominant performance. Meanwhile, the Raiders spiraled into decline. Without Gruden, they struggled to maintain their success, and the assets they received in the trade failed to produce long-term impact players. Oakland didn't make the playoffs again until 2016, suffering through years of instability. For Tampa Bay, the trade paid off instantly, securing their first championship in franchise history. For Oakland, it became a cautionary tale about trading away a franchise-changing head coach, as they spent nearly 2 decades trying to recover from the loss. 5. Washington's RG3 trade. In 2012, the Washington Redskins made one of the most controversial and disastrous trades in NFL history by moving up in the draft to select Robert Griffin III, RG3, as their future quarterback. To secure the 2nd overall pick, Washington gave up an enormous package to the Saints. Louis Rams, 3 first-round picks, 2012, 2013, 2014, and a 2nd-round pick in 2012. The trade was made with the hope that RG3, coming off a Heisman Trophy-winning season at Baylor, could turn around the franchise's fortunes. Initially, RG3 delivered on that promise. In his rookie season, he led Washington to the NFC East title and was named NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, showcasing his dual threat abilities and exciting playmaking skills. However, things quickly unraveled after that. RG3's career was marred by knee injuries, and he was never able to return to his rookie form. Washington's investment in him ultimately resulted in a short-lived window of success. Meanwhile, the Rams used the draft picks to build a talented roster, selecting key players like Michael Brockers and Alec Ogletree, who contributed to their rebuilding. Washington's RG3 trade set the team back for years as they continued to search for a long-term solution at quarterback. 4th, Colts trade John Elway to the Broncos. The Indianapolis Colts' decision to trade John Elway to the Denver Broncos in 1983 remains one of the most regrettable trades in NFL history. After selecting Elway 1st overall in the 1983 draft, the Colts were unable to come to terms with the young quarterback. Elway made it clear that he would refuse to play for the Colts due to the franchise's poor management and lack of stability. This prompted the Colts to trade him to the Denver Broncos, receiving quarterback Chris Hinton, offensive lineman Marvin Washington, and a 1st-round pick in return. Elway, whose desire to play in a larger market was well documented, went on to have a Hall of Fame career with the Broncos. He led Denver to 2 Super Bowl victories, was named Super Bowl MVP in 1998, earned 9 Pro Bowl selections over his 16 seasons in the NFL. Elway's leadership and clutch performances transformed the Broncos into a perennial contender, and cemented his status as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Meanwhile, the Colts failed to capitalize on the trade. And though they did draft future Hall of Famer Hershel Walker with the additional pick, the loss of Elway ultimately delayed their championship aspirations for decades. Number 3, Chargers trade away the pick that became Michael Vick in one of the most perplexing moves in NFL history. The San Diego Chargers traded away the first overall pick in the 2001 draft, which ultimately became Michael Vick, to the Atlanta Falcons. The Chargers received quarterback Drew Brees from the 2001 draft, a second-round pick, 2001, and a third-round pick, 2002, in exchange. At the time, San Diego was looking for a quarterback to replace the aging Stan Humphries, and they had concerns about Vick's long-term success in the NFL. The Falcons, eager to build around Vick's extraordinary athleticism and playmaking ability, took the chance, and Vick quickly became a star in Atlanta, earning 4 Pro Bowl selections and leading the Falcons to the NFC Championship game in 2004. Vick's dual threat capabilities revolutionized the quarterback position, and he became the face of the franchise for nearly a decade. Meanwhile, the Chargers selected Brees with their second-round pick, but Brees did not take off until he was traded to the New Orleans Saints in 2006. Brees led the Saints to a Super Bowl victory in 2009, becoming one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history, while the Chargers remained stuck in mediocrity for years. This trade set San Diego back as they missed out on a generational talent in Vic. 2. Vikings trade for Hershel Walker. In 1989, the Minnesota Vikings made one of the most infamous trades in NFL history when they acquired running back Hershel Walker from the Dallas Cowboys. The trade, which was supposed to be a move that would help the Vikings secure a championship, turned out to be a disastrous decision that haunted them for years. The Vikings sent a massive haul to the Cowboys in exchange for Walker, including 5 players and 6 draft picks, 4 of which were first-round picks. The Vikings believed Walker would be the final piece to push them into Super Bowl contention, but they underestimated how much of a risk they were taking by trading away such a huge portion of their future. While Walker was productive in Minnesota, rushing for over 1,000 yards in each of his first 2 seasons, he failed to live up to the expectations that came with the massive trade. More importantly, the Cowboys used the picks acquired from the Vikings to build a dynasty that included selecting future stars like Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, and Alonzo Highsmith. These players helped propel the Cowboys to 3 Super Bowl championships in the 1990s. For the Vikings, the trade ultimately set them back, as the loss of those draft picks hindered their ability to build a long-term, successful team. The deal remains a cautionary tale about the risks of mortgaging the future for a single player. Number 1, Saints trade entire draft for Ricky Williams. One of the most infamous and ill-fated trades in NFL history occurred in 1999 when the New Orleans Saints traded their entire draft to the Washington Redskins for running back Ricky Williams. In a highly unorthodox move, the Saints gave up all of their picks in the 1999 draft. 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick, as well as future picks to acquire the Heisman Trophy winner out of Texas. The trade was made with the hope that Williams would become the centerpiece of the Saints' offense and transform the team into a contender. At first, Williams showed flashes of brilliance. In his first season, he rushed for over 1,000 yards, but injuries and inconsistencies began to plague him. Over his 5 seasons with New Orleans, Williams failed to live up to the hype and did not deliver the immediate impact the Saints had hoped for. Meanwhile, the Redskins used the picks they acquired from the Saints to rebuild their roster, drafting key players like LeVar Arrington, the 2nd overall pick, and Chris Samuels, who would become staples for Washington. The Saints' trade ended up being disastrous, as they sacrificed their future for a player who never lived up to the monumental expectations. The move set the franchise back for years, and the Saints would not see significant success until the arrival of Drew Brees in 2006. And that wraps up our list of the 10 worst trades in NFL history. These trades are prime examples of how a single bad decision can completely reshape the future of a franchise, whether it's giving away a generational talent, overpaying for a player who doesn't deliver, or trading away future draft capital for short-term gain. These moves are reminders of how critical smart decision-making is in the NFL. For teams and fans, It's a lesson that success isn't just about big names or flashy trades. It's about building a sustainable, smart roster that can compete year after year. So if you learned something new or want to share your thoughts on these trades, drop a comment below. Let me know which one you think was the worst, or if there's another trade you think should have made this list. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more NFL content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.